In that building is congregating 100 of the most elite people on the planet, a bunch of scum. And they're so intimidated by accredited journalists just trying to cover what they're doing that they pull stunts in every country getting people detained, arrested, or deported. This time it backfired on them because the press learned of it. Think about it. 5, 6 years ago, the national press said the Bilderberg Group did not exist. Of course, it was founded by a top Dutch Nazi, the Crown Prince, in the early 1950s after World War II. And this is nothing more than the mafia meeting and colluding together to bring in their world government. We've gotten their minutes, we've gotten their documents. These people, for 27 years, Jim Tucker's been covering this. Jim every year gets documents, minutes of their meetings from employees inside these facilities that find out how evil they are. And what's in there? Discussions of world domination, world tax, getting rid of Canada and the U.S. and Mexico's sovereignty, the American Union. And now, because of brave people like you see here, it's now mainstream news in Canada. It's even on CNN that they're setting up world government. They're not going to get rid of Canada, the U.S., or Mexico. They're not going to merge us. We're going to stop it. Those men right there. Those men are destroying your children's future. Those men are absolute criminals and will be exposed.
They talk about the founder being an SS guy. The co-founder's name is Redinger, the Zionist.
Yeah.
Of course, the Zionists and the Nazis had a lot in common.
They did actually work together.
Jews out of Europe.
They actually worked together, yep.
Sure they did.
Very evil.
They're still working together.
So what do you think these guys are up to in here?
Well, we know what they're up to. We've gotten their documents repeatedly. We have moles inside. And they're setting up world government, world taxation. They openly call us slaves, and they have other poor slaves guarding them. And what are they afraid of? They're afraid of the truth because criminals, organized crime, meet in secret with our leaders trying to take our freedoms. That's simple.
Yeah, good. I mean, look, there's lots of planets. You got to understand there's billions upon billions of planets in the universe. And, you know, we can afford to blow up a planet here and there. We've got antimatter bombs in the works, and when that gets ready, we're going to blow up the whole solar system. We're not going to stop at just one planet. We're going to blow up the solar system because, you know, there's lots of solar systems in the universe. There's billions upon billions of them. You blow up one here or there, who's going to notice?
Exactly.
You know? So I say we've been stockpiling these bombs for 50, 60 years, wondering what to do about it, listening to those terrorists in the streets telling us we shouldn't do things like that. Well, it's about time we put our foot down and put these bombs to good use and teach these people a lesson about democracy and freedom.
Well, George Bush has been saying he wants to use the nukes.
Well, he's been saying it for a long time, and I knew he wanted to use the nukes even before September 11, 2001. I was trying to tell everybody, but they would look at me kind of strange, you know, and they wouldn't answer my emails and stuff like that, but I kept at it. After September 11, I said, well, this time everybody's going to notice. I mean, it's so blatantly obvious. They're not going to get the wool pulled over their eyes this time around.
Was 9/11 an inside job?
Well, I think this answers your question. If 9/11 is an inside job, what was surprising is the number of people on the inside. It's just amazing, the quantity of people on the inside willing to stand up for this and use it as a pretext to go and bomb countries halfway across the world. It's just blew me away. I've been traumatized by September 11th. I didn't think the people were that gullible, ignorant, and willingly stupid. You know,
all right.
It just blew
Thanks,
me away.
thanks for talking to us.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Alex, can you talk about how these guys connect with the Illuminati?
Well, they don't connect with the Illuminati. They are the Illuminati.
Right here, man.
There's no doubt that many of the people in there are Satanists. And again, I'm just a reporter. 10 years ago, I laughed at this, and there were some Channel 4 reporters, TV crew, in Texas, and they were saying, you know, do you know about this Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove? And I went and started investigating it. And of course, in 2000, I infiltrated into the Bohemian Grove, where Bush and all the rest of them go, and it's been on national U.S. television. The Grove admits I snuck in and got their ritual on tape. They say it's no big deal. As old men, we get in red and black robes and run around naked and worship 45-foot stone owls. I mean, hell, when you got trillions of dollars, that's what you do. You run around the woods naked and worship big owls. I mean, you know.
And what about the Freemasons?
It's like Peter Jennings said. You know, he played a clip of it and played a clip of Skull and Bones and said they're just having fun. You know, no big deal.
Stealing, robbing skulls from graves.
I mean, it's like Eyes Wide Shut. You know, that's based on what really goes on. Big deal. This is what people do, you know. It's Christian. We're probably having some Eyes Wide Shut action in there right now. Everyone in here is like wanted for something. God almighty.
He says he's good though. He doesn't need to do it. I said, Google in Bilderberg. He says, no, I'm good.
No. They're good. We don't want to know we work for criminals.
Actually, I think he was flipping off the guard, not us.
As a Canadian tax-paying citizen, I cannot believe in a country that has a democracy like ours, we are being put through this lies of the secret agenda of the Bilderberg group, which have only their interests in mind. And when oil's at $150 a barrel next year, and everybody starts to go down and the middle class is eroded, there'll be them on top and all of us at the bottom.
Are we going to try to go inside?
No. Hell no.
Why not?
Because I'm not going to give them what they want, man. We know who they are. We're trying to just show the fact that they're in there nesting right now.
That's what we are doing.
Conspiring.
My name's Jeff Matthews. I'm a Canadian, and I extend my apologies to the way you were treated, which was disgraceful, sir. I run an independent newspaper. It's called the Kingston Eye Opener. And from a historical standpoint, if anybody's interested, in the 1920s, it was a legendary editor of a free press in Canada called the Calgary Eye Opener. Bob Edwards was the editor of the Calgary Eye Opener. If you're a Canadian or an American, look up the history of that. It's a beautiful history. We've taken his name in out of respect for the great achievements of Bob Edwards in the 1920s. This is the third year we're covering Bilderberg. Last year and the year before, we were the only Canadian press I'm aware of that even mentioned Bilderberg. We were able to cover it thanks to Daniel Estulin. And what I believed when I'm 50-something now, when I was a kid, I was brought up that a free press was an essential part of a free country. That without a free press, without an independent press, everything was going to go to pieces. And I'm not too sharp, but I've seen the quality of reporting and radio and television and the newspapers go steadily downhill. Just a few days ago, it was Sunday morning in the 7:30 CBC Radio News. That's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, our national news. We were told unconfirmed reports suggest that there may have been a possible target, somewhere. It said maybe Ottawa, but what kind of reporting is this? Unconfirmed report suggests that possible targets may have been, and we're supposed to get scared. But that's the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That's basically the Canadian government, our national radio, giving us that quality of reporting.
What do you think of I mean, not just talk about myself, but since you brought it up, it's scary when they had been told, they admitted Bilderberg, had contact, and they called it the conference, that was worried about me, that Bilderberg would be trying to keep me from getting in, and they almost did it if press wouldn't have heard and shown up. I mean, they're to the point of trying to suppress in North America, folks, supposed bastion of freedom, Canada and the U.S., the press.
Yeah, I know what happened to you. It was a disgrace. It's a national disgrace, incidentally. But what you have is bullies. And have you ever seen a smart bully? I never have seen a smart bully. I've seen guys that throw their weight around. And these guys are used to throwing their weight around. They say, keep this guy out. We don't want to be bothered. They're not smart because it backfired. It's like egg all over their face. You had a rough 14 hours, and I personally apologize as a Canadian.
No, it's not your fault.
But no, as a Canadian, I apologize. Not as it wasn't me, but as a Canadian, a member of this country, I apologize. And I think every Canadian will apologize. But it was the stupidest dumb stunt they've pulled in a long time, in a long list of stupid stunts, because that got national news, got them more attention than they ever had before, and the whole country of Canada is embarrassed about what happened to you.
I wonder if they're going to let me get out of here.
Stick around. It just gets better.
I know. Hey, I love Canada. Everybody from Canada is really smart and really nice. I mean, you think Canadians aren't informed of what's going on? It's really bad in the U.S.
Yes, I've heard. I've seen. We've both seen more than enough. At any rate, we'll be covering this Bilderberg conference again this year in our little newspaper, our little independent newspaper, and it's been a pleasure to meet you, sir.
Do you think it makes them angry? Well, a pleasure meeting you. Do you think it's made them angry that they woke up that morning and the National Post, it was the front page, the Ottawa Citizen, all these papers, myself on the front page of the National Post, coming out of customs?
Oh, yeah? I'm sure it upset them. I'm sure it upset them. And they'll find the most junior guy in Customs Canada and they'll fry him. But those are the guys that were responsible for it.
Yeah, which is why they're under arrest here.
So anyway, of course it upsets them, but bullies are stupid. You're dealing with bullies. They've never had to be accountable. They've always used their power to shut people up, and it's not working. I think that's what they don't understand. It's not working.
Well, you're right. Up until about 6 years ago, we never saw in major U.S. papers or Canadian papers, never a mention of Bilderberg. Now it's finally all over the place. Europe, it's all over the place. What is that a sign of? What is that a sign of that this is happening?
It's a sign that an independent press is growing. What I don't know is, are enough of the public listening? That's my great prayer, is that enough of the public are listening. Because you can keep telling them, I can keep telling them, but is there enough of the public going to listen against the tidal wave of trash media? You know, all the cheap thrill stuff, all the commercial stuff. Are people really going to learn what's going on? Because what is happening to the United States, to Canada, to Mexico, is terrible, terrible, terrible stuff.
Can you talk about the American Union? I mean, the CFR writes the white papers for their agenda. They carry out Bilderberg's orders. That's on record. And even Lou Dobbs on CNN saying, American Union, end of Canada, end of U.S. They are actually, through the trade deals, already starting to bleed us.
Well, I breezed through what in Canada we've referred to as the Manley Report. John Manley was a previous Deputy Prime Minister, and he sat on a Council of Foreign Relations committee with Mexicans and Americans. The two were John Manley and Thomas Aquino, who's president of the Council of Chief Executives, a bunch of very big business guys. And they put this report together. And it started off by saying, does it not make sense that Canada and the U.S. should be one, that we should have a common currency? Does it not just make enormous sense that we should have a common border? To ask the question is to answer it. Now, that was right in the report. You know, these guys are trying to sell us this bill of goods. Now, fortunately, when it got to the House of Commons, it didn't do very well. So they've just put it under the table for a while till people are looking the other way. Maybe Christmas morning when everybody else is out of the House, they'll pass it. I don't know what'll happen. But that's what I'm sure. Then there were Americans on that thing pushing the same agenda, and they're just waiting till nobody's watching.
They've had joint congresses with your parliament, the U.S. Congress, and the Mexican Congress in Mexico.
Yeah. I mean,
can you speak to that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know all the details, and I have to learn more. But I know they're just waiting for us to look the other way so they can whisk it through. And as I just drove, I was away for about 24 hours because I had to leave yesterday, went all the way to Toronto, drove back. And I'm listening to some radio station. I can't tell you which one it was. And there was a story about a minor riot, I believe it was in Halifax, one of the maritime capital cities of the maritime province of Canada, because the people were upset that a transnational commercial area was being declared called Atlantica, which is what this agenda is about, and that they were going to lose jobs. And I didn't catch the details. Maybe some of you other fellows
Sir,
in the...
St. Louis is being given to Mexico. The huge rail yards, these huge highways, and a stretch of highway from St. Louis, the biggest rail yard in the U.S., all the way down to Mexico. They're giving them our country right now. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about foreign countries buying our ports, all this.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I heard about the uproar too. Congratulations. But this is what, and either Canadians and United States citizens are going to rise up against this and stop it, or else you can say goodbye to your country. It's really that simple.
Thanks for talking to us. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Tell us about your website.
I don't have a website. I have a little paper. I don't have a website.
You're kicking butt. Hey, stop and let me in front of you. Let me in front of you. Hey. Which way do you want to go to get back to town?
Let's just take the freeway.
Which way is that?
I'm in March right now. Just go, keep going straight till you get to 4.
And then take a right north?
417, yeah, like we did before. You're going to go east.
No, those aren't cops. They're hot though. All right, 417 east?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we should have pulled up beside him at the stoplight like they did. Is there anyone in that car?
Can't tell. I can't tell to see.
Yes, there's an old man right there. He's in the passenger back. It's in the right-hand corner.
Let's see. Won't be able to identify him, but
I can see him through the glass. Some distinguished, like, 70-year-old man.
yeah, I could see his glasses, but let's see.
East.
Yeah.
This is what we should have been doing the whole time, tailing these people. So what do you think about this whole thing, man? Tell us about you.
Oh, jeez, put me on the spot. Well, pretty much everything I know is I got from you. You're my inspiration for looking into this stuff, yeah.
You live around here?
Yeah, I live about 30 seconds that way.
Wow.
Yeah, when I found out they were coming to the Brook Street, I was like, I gotta go and see. I knew that Alex would be here for sure. So
here we are.
Yeah.
And none of the glory. Sir, why are you here?
Just to get a first-hand glimpse of the most evil people in the world, pretty much.
You know, the media comes out in droves. If you had 120 top Hollywood stars meeting in secret on top of it, people would be wondering, what's going on? What's happening? But for many years, we couldn't get the press to ever report on this. In fact, they'd say it didn't exist.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how they could, not that many people are aware of it, and the press won't report it, they refuse to report it. It shows how powerful these people are and their influence.
Well, I appreciate you coming out.
I wonder how many of these guys are going to be at the Grove next month, meeting at, seeing Mr. Moloch there.
A lot of them.
Yeah, I think so. In their robes and everything. It's pretty crazy.
Think of anything more horrifying? Hey, Daniel, where were you? We have got them now. We are exposing them more and more and more. Have you heard of the American Union?
Yeah. Here's.
Yeah. You're gonna be part of it.
Yeah.
It's been in your
That's
papers.
what they're called, Bilderberg.
Eh?
Bilderberg.
Infowars.com. Infowars.com.
Why'd you...
Man with the camera at the front. Hello. We've been parking there all the whole time. 20 cars have.
Sir, you can't park there.
Really? Well, where can we park?
Well, I guess.
Everybody's been parking there with the police here all. Okay.
All right?
Sure. Now they're telling us we can't park there. Huh? Yeah, the sign does say otherwise. In fact, get video of that. Get video of that. Notice that it says, parking from this point forward. Or color of law. Oh, the light's back. Ma'am, it says no parking from that sign back. But I'm from the U.S. I may have trouble understanding signs. Can you explain the municipal law to me? Well, officer, I'm more than happy to comply with the law. Will you come? The sign says from here back. The sign says from the sign back you can't park. The sign, we have the same signs. But will you explain to me? So you're saying that sign has arrows pointing both ways? It says an arrow pointing this way. Yes, ma'am, it does. We were here with officers for 3 days. We're allowed to park there unless the sign's changed. Wonder what it is. Yes, sir. Sir, can you say that again? I'm hard of hearing.
If you can just stay off the roadway, we don't want anybody hitting you guys or anything like that.
Okay, when the cars come through, we're trying to get pictures of them as journalists. They've been trying to cover their faces up. That's, I mean, we did it yesterday in front of the police and the day
I'm
before.
not on an interview, sir. Stick that out of me.
Okay.
It's just if you can. If
Just
you
so
guys
windy
wanna
we
take
can't hear
pictures,
you.
Do so on the sidewalk.
You mean right over there on the sidewalk?
You can go either way. It doesn't matter. Just as long as you're not impeding the traffic.
Officers.
Yes, sir.
Blacked out windows, lots of black sedans, old men hiding their faces. You gonna go investigate Bilderberg Group, sir?
Can't do that.
Can't do it, huh?
No. We've got a task here, my friend.
I hear you.
And that's to sit here and keep the peace.
Yeah, I do look better. Go ahead. friendly. We're talking to, seriously, we're talking to Canadians about what you think about the move by your government and the U.S. government to merge Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. together as an American union. Did you hear about the Bilderberg group that was meeting here in town?
We're all pages at the House of Commons and can't comment on political issues. Jeff can.
Yes.
Jeff.
Well, I mean, do you want to give up Canadian sovereignty?
No.
What do you think of what the Bilderberg group's doing?
I don't even know who they are.
Well, they're meeting here in town. They're the folks that founded the European Union, and they're openly pushing for an American union through so-called trade deals, but the agreements are really to create a supranational state.
Is this a deal like free trade?
That's how they sell it, but the agreements are public. It is really getting rid of Canada's sovereignty as well as the U.S.
So then we wouldn't have to sell you all our wood anymore?
Exactly.
Oh. No, I don't think that's a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea either.
Sweet.
But the U.S. is going to lose its sovereignty too. It's like Germany and France going to the euro, they start losing their sovereignty. And that's how the euro started, was the euro started as an economic community. And that's what the Bilderberg group is meeting to do right now. You guys didn't hear about this? It's been all over radio and TV. Wait, you did hear about it?
Sorry. We're not allowed to talk.
Really?
Yeah,
like we do work in this place.
So you're not allowed to comment on activities going on in here. You're allowed to comment as...
Nothing of a political nature.
Really? Well, that doesn't sound like a free country to me.
Well, we signed a contract. It's a contract.
You signed a contract not to talk to anybody.
We're pages at the House of Commons. We have to maintain our impartiality for this year.
Yeah. So you can't even discuss the end of your country's sovereignty.
Not even if I wanted to.
All right. Well, we're friendly.
Oh, we know that.
We're just trying. I mean, seriously, folks, this is really happening. The European Union started as an economic community. They signed the agreements. It's even been on CNN. They're getting rid of our countries right now. And the average Canadian we've talked to doesn't know. Even less Americans know. I mean, I'm not putting Canadians down. You guys are more informed than Americans. It's dangerous. You guys are politically informed. That's why a few of you even knew about this. This is serious. American Union, check it out. Thanks for talking to us. And I'm sorry for interrupting. How's your croquet game going?
We're winning.
You're winning?
Yeah.
All right. I like your outfits. There's not any programming going on from Virgin. We've got the Parliament right over here. By the way, they admit that the Parliament, they have top professors in this country and other historians, that a group of Masons paid for the design of the Parliament, and that the whole thing is built according to occultic specifications. And we have this little calling card, 666, right here. Well, I mean, sir, did you hear about Bilderberg?
Yeah.
What did you hear about it?
I just saw a little bit about it on the internet.
From what you saw on the net, what do you think it is?
I don't know, kind of a organization or something to, I don't know, maybe talk about world events or something.
When they were set up in 1954 by Prince Bernhard, who was an SS officer, their main function was to create a European Union. And their own documents have now been released where they said we have to call it a trade deal to fool the people. The same thing's now happening. The American Union is already in the middle steps, very close to being complete, and the average American or Canadian isn't even aware. Though I have seen it in some Canadian papers that Canadians are aware that you're losing your sovereignty. Are you guys concerned about Canada losing its sovereignty?
Well, I guess so. I mean, I don't know too much about it, but...
I think it's the media's job. That's what we're trying to do, to start having a debate about this. I personally am against it. I don't want you to lose your sovereignty. I don't want the U.S. to lose its sovereignty. Do you have any comments, sir?
None at all.
All right. Thanks for talking to us. Yeah, no all right. Ma'am, have you heard of the Bilderberg Group?
Well, I know that they're in town. Yes, they're meeting in Canada at the Brook Street restaurant. Hotel, yes, sorry. Yeah. You're right. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, what else is there to know?
There are 120 of the most powerful people in the world, Queen Beatrix, David Rockefeller, and they set up the European Union back in 1954. They're setting up the American Union right now. It's even been on CNN. They're getting rid of the sovereignty of Canada, Mexico, and the U.S., merging us, and the average American or Canadian or Mexican is totally unaware. Have you heard any rumblings of the merger?
No, I haven't. No, my understanding is that they're just talking strictly business. That's what their agenda is. I don't know that they have any political agenda.
Oh, yeah, their stated agenda is, well, world government.
Well, I'm not aware of it if that's the case, but I found it difficult to believe.
Sure. Would you be for getting rid of national sovereignty?
National sovereignty. But what do you mean by that?
Would you be for Canada relinquishing power over itself?
Of course I'd be against it.
Fantastic. Sir, do you have any comments about that?
No, I have no comments at this point. I don't know enough about it yet.
See, that's the thing, is that this is really happening. Only Lou Dobbs on CNN's talked about it. He got the documents. And our presidents, your prime minister, Vicente Fox, George Bush, and your last prime minister all met last year, and they're signing the agreements. And we talk to people, and they just don't know about it. I mean, you guys are more informed than most. You even know the meeting was happening.
Well, yes, it's been in the newspapers, in the news, but like I said, I don't know that there's a political agenda. In fact, my understanding is that it's not a political agenda, but it's a strictly business.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch of government leaders and ambassadors and people that attend.
Right, right. Anyway, well.
Well, thank you for talking to us.
You're very welcome.
It's a lovely day, isn't it?
Beautiful.
No. It's really a Masonic temple.
What?
No, that was in the that was in about 3 of your newspapers. The design of it is laid out as a temple. It's beautiful.
Neo-Gothic.
Yeah, neo-Gothic.
It's all neo-Gothic.
But the circumference, all the rooms, just type in Canadian Parliament building temple design, and you'll get it. That was like when the 1840 something, whenever they had the contest to build it and wrote it all up. It's just a side issue. I also have a syndicate radio show, so I heard all these people. And it was in the Canadian papers about a year ago when I had the guy on. It's pretty wild. 171 years ago, Texas declared independence from the tyranny of Mexico, and we redeclare that independence from the globalists and the foreign corporations and Spain that thought that they could come into Texas and to many other states and pay off our politicians to hand the infrastructure over to them to rape the American people and the people of Texas. They have consistently lied about the Trans-Texas Corridor. They have consistently claimed it wouldn't be on existing roads. Their own documents have been made public. It's a scam. All over the planet, in third world nations, the big central banks go in, buy off the politicians, and then seize the water, the roads, the power plants, the infrastructures. And that is exactly what's happening here in the United States, and Texas is the front line. Our entire infrastructure is being seized by criminals, but the people of Texas and the United States are rising to resist it. No one knew the Bilderberg Group even existed. Now it's in the Dallas Morning News. And now your treason is public, Perry. Perry is guilty of treason. He is publicly bought and paid for by foreign central banks. We know that Texas is the front line of the fight against the New World Order. Texas is the keystone, the linchpin. You and your criminal cohorts are failing when it comes to your North American Union, and you're failing when it comes to the hijacking and seizure of our infrastructure. Rick Perry made secret agreements with the foreign Spanish company Sintra. Rick Perry made secret agreements to sell out 8,000 miles of Texas roads and infrastructure. We've now bullhorned your little facade. Now we're going to confront your body, which is as hollow as you are. We followed him as he attended a formal dinner. Governor Rick Perry is a traitor. He publicly is bought and paid for by an international crime syndicate known as the Bilderberg Group. Treason! 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 Treason!
nations whose governments they have bought off, whose presidents and prime ministers and governors they have bought. Rick Perry is publicly bought and paid for by the New World Order. He is a traitor!
So we're asking nicely if everybody can leave. Did y'all do that for us?
Well, I was about to leave, but I don't think we can if you guys are telling us to go.
No, we're asking you right now, just so we don't have to make any arrests or do anything like that. We don't want.
We got to stay if you're saying there's going to be arrests.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
No, man, it's the First Amendment. It's really important. A lot of people died for it.
This is their property.
No, we're not on their property. Sidewalks right here.
All right, well, we'll work it from there then. If no one's going to leave, we'll work it from there.
Yeah, call more guys in. Go ahead.
Even if we're on city property, they're going to call in a false arrest. We need everybody to videotape it so we get official oppression charges on all of them and end up getting them all indicted. Okay? So let's be seriously careful. They now want to attack the First Amendment head on because we're out here on city sidewalks we paid for. So don't step on their royal area here unless you're walking back and forth. We were about to go, but then they said, we'll have to arrest you. We're staying.